Welcome to In the Know. This episode is about the Pelicans players representing Team USA. Brandon Ingram on the big team, the main team, potentially a starter. We don't know. Trey Murphy and Herb Jones in the select team. Tune in to find out what we think. All right, Mason. Today it was finally announced that Herb Jones had made it to the select team, and Trey Murphy was announced a few days back. We knew about Brandon Ingram a few days before that, or maybe a few weeks before that. So the Pelicans have a sizable amount of representation into the Team USA program. The select team, being coached by Jamal Mosley, will feature guys like Cade Cunningham and now I'm blanking on the rest of the dudes. Anyways, Cade Cunningham, woo, yay!
Naz Reid, LSU player Naz Reid.
Oh, Langston Galloway, Pelicans own, very own Langston Galloway. But Brandon Ingram being part of the main program with a bunch of Villanova representation and Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and then a bunch of other star-studded casts like Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Walker Kessler, Austin Reeves. But yeah, I think it's unabashedly a positive thing that all of these players have been selected to at least participate or represent the team in some capacity. I think exposure around the best players in the league is a great thing, and being put into that program is also a great way to recruit. I would say, although recruiting only works so well, but you hear stories all the time of people forming partnerships and friendships and respects, etc., in these kinds of settings. And I'm excited for the Pelicans to take stage here.
Yeah. I mean, the team. Maybe it's just me, but the team feels younger than it usually is. Not drastically, but a little bit. And so, when you think about recruiting, it's like, all these guys are on long-term contracts. So how are we going to get these next free agents to come? But I mean, free agency is a farce at this point anyway. It's all about signing trades and draft and all that. So yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool. I think given the roster, you're right. I mean, I think Brandon Ingram's got a great chance to start. And so that'd be really cool just to see him on that stage, as you said. And happy for Trey and Herb. That's going to be a very interesting select team. I think there's some odd names like Langston Galloway, and you kind of wonder.
Well, these are guys that played in like the qualifying rounds and stuff for Team USA. I believe that Jeff Van Gundy used to coach this team. I don't know who coaches it now, but like Langston Galloway and a few others were like part of like the group that like plays and gets the qualification, and then the USA sends like its next group of people. So like I think they're just trying to reward that kind of those players, but also bring some level of continuity when it comes to installing the system and just Team USA as a whole. But a couple of things I found interesting. One, there's like three archetypes of players. Three different archetypes. Three players who are a very similar archetype. One of them's on the main team, Cam Johnson. Trey Murphy on the select team, Keegan Murray on the select team, just big wings, shoot really, really well, projected to kind of defend multiple positions, but really, their calling card is their shooting. And so Cam Johnson obviously got the nod for the main group to play alongside his teammate, Mikal Bridges, but I don't think there is I think it's a pretty good chance for Trey to end up on the main stage, maybe even as soon as next year for Olympic qualifiers if he takes the necessary step. But I do think those three players are going to be kind of fighting each other for that a similar spot. But who knows? You can't have too much shooting on the team.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I don't know. There are some names there that I think even if it's not next year. I mean, Trey. There are guys on the team I would take Trey over right now, and I know that's not exactly how it works, but I think he's positioned himself very well already, and I think the role that he fills and a good season next year for the Pelicans, and good things can happen. Maybe not just for him, maybe for Herb too.
Yeah. Speaking of Herb Jones, just the point of the select team is to challenge and prepare the main group, and there is no better way for the main group to be challenged than Herb Jones. I mean, look, you put Herb Jones. Anthony Edwards is not dribbling around him. Tyrese Halliburton's not dribbling around him. Mikal Bridges is not dribbling around him. So those guys are going to be in hell. Maybe Brandon has an advantage having to go against her in practice, and we know some of the tips and tricks. But even then, I don't think Herb takes it easy. So I'm glad Herb's getting that recognition. I'm glad Herb's getting his flowers. Big off season for him. He got the contract, and so yeah, I'm excited for Herb to be invited to all this stuff. Although I'm sure he's like, man, I wish I was just fishing.
That's yeah. I mean, like he's one of those all or nothing guys. Like I'm just either gonna take go fishing and just go somewhere where I have no cell service or anything, or he's playing for the select team and he's gonna be asking to play every single minute of that game and going a million miles an hour. So that's Herb Jones for you, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Just want to touch on Brandon Ingram briefly. I think David Griffin's now mentioned a couple times in public settings that Brandon Ingram usually spends the summer working pretty diligently from a lifting perspective, but doesn't really play basketball, doesn't really touch a basketball. And this is going to be one of the first summers he comes off of playing basketball. And what typically happens, according to David Griffin, is Brandon Ingram lifts, goes hard in the summer and builds a body that he hasn't really played on and ends up breaking down and falling apart as the season goes down. Whereas now he'll be coming off a summer of actually playing basketball, which is he hasn't done so in the past. And he'll be more prepared for the season and will represent more of the guy we saw in March and in April than some of his other stretches. And wanted to get your thoughts on that. And do you buy any of that?
Not really. I mean, like, because if that's all true, then like, why is he doing that? Like, why is that his strategy or his offseason plan? And so I feel like that's lip service more than anything else. And I mean, hey, if it's true, we'll find out if it holds. Yeah, if it holds, it carries weight. But yeah, I mean,
I think it's a surprising admission for the lead basketball decision maker to say, like, yeah, like my leader of the team doesn't actually play basketball in the summer. It's like, anyways, not gonna go there. I'm just
didn't AD say something similar a year ago? It's about himself.
Yeah, like I don't test the basketball. Like a lot of guys don't do that. And I think it's fine.
Yeah. You're allowed to have vacation. like these people are allowed to do that.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And so like, look, he's. I will say two things. One, most of the time when like the next generation of players get called up into a select team, I feel like maybe it's just confirmation bias on my part, but there's almost always a bump they see in their production the following year. They almost always take leaps. And I think you could trace this back to a litany of stars. It's like they go to the select team or they go to an Olympic campaign and they come back and they have a monster next year. So I'm hoping, I'm optimistic Brandon faces a similar boost to his play style. The second thing is I've been talking about some fans regarding to this, and I think he's going to be the spiritual successor to Olympic Melo on this group. I do think, it's a shorter FIBA line. I think they're going to encourage him to take these threes, and I think he's just going to go bananas from like that 22-foot, 23-foot, whatever that 3-point line is. And I think he's going to be a pretty efficient scoring threat.
Whatever gets him to take more of those NBA threes, I'll take it.
Yep. That shot diet has to change. And look, that's kind of the goal for coming into this next season, with James Borrego. You're running it back. So how do you run it back and improve? Well, you tweak the margins, and one of the ways to tweak the margins is to change the shot diet for not just him, but CJ as well, and some others, and just change the usage, just reshape the usage for everybody. Trey's got to get up there and got to get his shots. So I'm excited for all of these players to get together in Vegas and compete. I hope Zion was invited and turned it down. I wish he would stop turning it down if that's the case, but I rather that than him just not get the invite at all. But hopefully one point we see him in Team USA as well.
Hopefully.
All right. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned for the next one.